Hey guys, welcome back. We got a Subaru. So this is the 2005 Subaru XT. It's got the turbocharged engine. You can see the intercooler on the top of the engine there. Kind of a unicorn because apparently you can't really find them in a 5-speed anymore, and that's a 5-speed. So I got a buddy who is big on Subaru and kind of gave me a few little tips and tricks. So we're going to do a few maintenance items to see if we can't get it running a little bit better. I got a video, and in the previous CR250 video right at the end, I posted a little section of it running, and it runs really rough. Seems like it's got an exhaust restriction. So we're going to pull off the manifold, we're going to pull off the turbo, we're going to pull off the up pipe, and we're going to run the codes that it's throwing whenever you drive it and see if we can't diagnose. I already ordered an up pipe because that's apparently a common issue with these. The cats go out and they clog, and then it acts as if it has no boost, which this car runs and drives, but it has 0 boost, so turbo is pretty much non-existent. So hopefully that'll fix it. Otherwise we'll just keep troubleshooting it, and then should be a pretty good little powerful, fun to drive commuter. So let's get to work. So here we have our 2005 Subaru Forester XT, 2.5 liter turbocharged, 210 horsepower. It's got an exhaust restriction, an obvious leak right here by the turbo. So we're gonna go in right in there. So we're gonna pull all this off and try to take the turbo housing off and see if maybe the turbo is clogged, or the up pipe, because that's a common issue. I was Googling some common issues with this vehicle, and they have a catted up pipe that had some, they only did it for 2 years, and then they removed the cat from the up pipe because they kept having so many problems with it. So that could be it. That would be awesome, because then that would be a super cheap fix. Plus it would give me an excuse to put a better up pipe and an exhaust manifold. It does have a full Greddy exhaust system on it. Here, I'll get underneath the car. It's pretty beefy. Including the up pipe, all pretty much brand new, all the way back. And whenever it started, you can't even tell it's in there. So I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So let's get it on jack stands and get that up pipe out of there. For the most part, it's super clean, hardly any rust. We'll replace those winter wheels. Got a little bit of rust in this quarter panel, and the same on that one. This roof rack, clean interior, and the unicorn 5-speed transmission. 145,000 miles. So we'll probably be doing a head gasket at some point. Unlock it, check out the back. Super clean. Came with a bunch of crap in it though. Let's see what we got. Fairly clean though. Came with a bike rack and a hitch. Nice little Thule double up bike rack. Another grill, plain Jane grill, and an extra set of headlights that are smoked. Those puppies might be going in too. Let's see what the other one looks like. Yep, it's in there. aftermarket set of smoked headlights with looks like a yellow running light. Those things are dope. I'll get the yellow fog lights and put those bitches in. That'll look good. Looks like he tried to mess with it a little bit. We've got this out of here. That's just silly. Got that. Subaru mat. He tried to diagnose. Must have had an oil leak once upon a time. Either that or he took it off to do the oil and never put it back on. That's from the exhaust when they put that Ready on there. And he was apparently a silver tequila drinker. Way to go, sir. I commend your flavors. We got the nice little Forester subwoofer back here. Overall, it's pretty clean, guys. I'm pumped. If we get it running right, we'll start doing some mods. Let's get to work on this thing. Up on jack stands. It might be a little too high, but let's go ahead and take off that intercooler. Our ultimate goal is to get intercooler off and get down into where this leak is and see where the blockage is. Probably on the up pipe, but we're going to remove the intercooler, clean it off, remove the turbo, remove the up down pipe, probably get a new turbo, replace all the gaskets in the exhaust turbo area, and there is a valve, PCV valve, that we need to replace as well. So we'll have a couple new parts in there. So let's get all of this out of there. So we can get a better angle. Intake doesn't look too bad, but all right, so we got the intercooler out and took the air box, well, just the air filter off, disconnected the battery, treated all the bolts it's a couple days later, so I treated everything yesterday and the day before that we're going to be breaking loose, and I already broke loose a couple of bolts. If you can see the up pipe is right, that bolt that I took off, and then there's another one right back there. Sorry, I don't have my light up here, it's down there, so we're going to jump down there. But anyways, there's one here, and one underneath this bell mouth for the downpipe. So we need to take the downpipe off. We're going to start underneath where it meets the cat back exhaust. Take it off from there, and then take all these bell mouth bolts off, and then we should be able to get to the third upper bolt. And then there's two below, and then we got to take off the engine mounts and lift the engine up about 1.5 inches or so to get the up pipe out, and then we'll just drop it back down until we get the new up pipe. Will be here tomorrow, but I won't have the gaskets for probably another couple days. So anyways, here is the intercooler. We have a new replacement Y pipe coming. We're gonna soak this. Actually need to go get some Simple Green and maybe a different container, but we're gonna soak that, fill it up with Simple Green or purple stuff. And we took off the turbo shroud, obviously. And yeah, so yeah, that intercooler makes a lot of room. So what you did is I took off this bolt and this bolt on the EGR lines, and then you undo the 2 bolts on the blow-off valve, and then loosen up your silicone gasket here and the one on the turbo, and then it just pulls right up out. So let's get some gloves and jump under there and see if we can't get that exhaust unbolted. Now that we have that disconnected, we'll have to pound out that flange. Doesn't even look like there's a gasket on that. We need to light on it. We need to remove those. So 1, 2, 3 from this side. And then the 2 on the top and this downpipe should come off. And then we can get to those 2 bolts underneath it. Those are the other 2 for the up pipe. And then the other 2 are right there. So those look like they should actually come out pretty easy. So let's go ahead and bust them loose. I'll try to get a good camera angle, but I apologize if it sucks. At least you know what I'm looking at. Alright, so we got the bottom 3 off, and now there's just these top 2. And it should come off. Okay, so that took a little bit longer, and for some reason the very last bolt on the transmission hanger decided to be the biggest biatch, which is unusual. Okay, this is literally just a tab mount, but got it off, and my action feels pretty good. There's no obstructions. It doesn't have any shaft wiggle. Give you a better view. Those two bolts need to come out. One's a mount bolt, and the other one is the third side. The third. Okay, so front end of the car, and you come right under the passenger side, and that's the bottom of your up pipe. It goes exhaust manifold and to the up pipe. So there is a bolt. Get a hold of this so my fingers aren't in the way. There's a bolt here and on the back side of this. And if you get an extension and go up right there, you have plenty of room to turn and you can pop it off. You just got to be careful. There's an O2 sensor right here. So don't mess, or that's not an O2 sensor. Actually, that's a little mount. So now you can see the up pipe is loose. And I can get my gasket out of there, which looks pretty fried. Yep. And now we got to take out the engine mount. So we got to take this engine mount right here out, and then there's another one right here. Get the light. So there's that one. And then there's this one. You can tell because they have those guides right there to the bottom of the engine that help guide it into the spot. We gotta blast those. They're not terrible though, so I'll blast those with some WD-40 and pop those off, and then we can jack the engine up and pull the up pipe out. Okay, so after a little bit of wrestling, I managed to get it undone, lifted up the engine. I don't even know if I had to do that. All these videos that I saw said take it out the bottom. But once I undid all the bolts and broke it loose, I pushed it out the top. So what the fuck? Now let's see what the hell's in there. Some sort of obstruction? Nope. I can see all the way through that bitch. Son of a bitch. That's not good. Can you hear that cat in there? I think that's the culprit. Parts day! Sweet, we got some parts. Let's see what we got. Up pipe. Looks pretty decent. Seems to match up pretty well with this one. side by side. That matches, just a little less bulky. What else? Coolant conditioner. This helps condition the head gasket and the coolant system. A friend of mine suggested this, so we'll pour that into the cooling system. Nice. Looks like the intercooler root and some, what do they call these, V-band clamps, instead of to replace the crappy stop clamps. Oh, the hose kit. I guess we got another one. Came with another boot, intercooler boot, bunch of clips we're not going to use, coolant hose, and silicone Y-pipe to replace the plastic one. This has got to be what I've been waiting for to keep moving, which is wrap it up like that, or whatever. Subaru manifold gasket. Only use Subaru brand manifold gasket. Otherwise, you will be redoing your work. So we got these two for the headers that we're not going to use. This for the downpipe that we will use. The up pipe. The up pipe. And I still need to get a 3-inch flange for the exhaust, because when I took that apart, it was all busted up. Charge pipe. So we'll replace the stock plastic charge pipe with this silicone turbo inlet pipe. That's what they call it actually. It goes underneath, I think like this, like that, underneath the intake manifold, and then hooks to the intake of the vehicle, or this way maybe. Hooks to the turbo, to the intake, to the intake. And I think somewhere in these boxes I have a cold air intake. I just need a filter for it for the old WRX I had. So I'll have to tear that apart at some point, find it. But the key thing is we have enough here to get the car back together. So what I need to do is we need to punch out. I think we figured out what the problem was here. See how that thing is totally roasted from here all the way down to here? All of the exhaust has been pushing through this catalytic converter right here. This is a catted downpipe, and it's pretty common for those to fail. But that thing is shaking around, so I'm pretty sure it's like melted and clumped together, and that's why I'm having this exhaust clog. And if I were to replace that with a Gretty up pipe, it's gonna be it'll match the exhaust system that's already on the car. But the problem is it's like $900, and I think that's why I got the deal that I did, because in order to replace that, you either spend the $9,000 or $1,000 for a new Gretty that fits in there, which you probably can't even find it as old as this car is, and in which case you would just have to replace the entire exhaust system. And you can get it cheap if you live in a state where you don't have an emission, which I do, So at that point, it doesn't make any sense. I'm just gonna punch out that cat and have a catless 3-inch downpipe with a nice little bomb in the middle. We'll see how that works. I might replace it eventually if that ends up being exactly what the problem is, but I'm pretty sure this piece of crap is faulty, and that's why it's having the issues it's having. So, but in the meantime, we got some new stuff for it, and we'll clean the intercooler, and we'll unplug the exhaust and put on some new stuff. Let's get to work. So, hot water all the way up to the top. Hopefully it doesn't leak so I don't get in trouble for having this in my kitchen. Okay, so we got the up pipe, upper bolt in. I am skeptical of these two because I feel like they are in the way of that flange, but maybe not. I'll have to take a picture and look at it. Turbo looks okay. A little lean actually, probably because of the O2 sensor issue from it being clogged. Now we'll go, what I did is I undid those bolts on the motor mount, lifted it up just about an inch maybe, and then that came down this way. A lot of people in other videos take it out the bottom. So much easier to bring it up and out this way versus down and out that way. So that's the direction I went, both out and in. So now it's nice and clean. Check the actuator. Let's see if we can get a good. That might be all right, actually. Hopefully this isn't recording upside down, so I'll have to flip it. Then we are down here, we have our new Subaru flange, and we will lower that down and see if we can't get that to butt together. Usually you want to leave the upper a little loose. I didn't do that. That was silly. I'll probably have to loosen it up a little bit, but we'll be reusing the bolts that came out of this because they're straight through and they're nice and clean. So let's go ahead and get the flange in the middle and these two bolts in, and the engine drops back down. Alright, so we did have to loosen up the bolts on the top to get these threaded through. It is a little bit short. I think maybe the engine shifted a little bit, which is fine. We tightened up. We got these in, loosened up the top, got these in, and then tightened up the top after we got these threaded. And now we're gonna go back and tighten this flange up, and hopefully it'll pull everything that way without stripping the bolts. But let's go ahead. It's a 14. Alright, hypothesis was that the up pipe was clogged because that's a common issue. Well, whenever I took the up pipe off, as we saw in one of the clips, this one, nice and hollow, nice and clean, so you can see through it. It's been replaced and updated with the newer one. I might actually put this one back on if the aftermarket no-name one doesn't seem to seal up, because that one sealed up just fine. Anyways, so the next option was the catted downpipe. So what I did is I cut it open. Get a little hot. Yeah. that thing was fried. So let's pop that out of there and see what it looks like. All right, real quick before I wrap today up, I gotta go do some work outside of the garage, but I punched out or ground out the catalytic converter, and just keep in mind, I don't claim to be a welder. I like to do mechanics, and I had a crash course in welding from a friend of mine back in Utah with a much better welder, and I have a handy dandy Harbor Freight or Amazon welder right here. Just this little FES Amazon style welder. It's cooling down right now, but yeah, I cut out the palladium and then patched it back together and welded the hatch back on, so that now this is a catless down pipe. But I'm not really sure if this was the problem. I mean, it's pretty heavy, but it is platinum and palladium, but you can still see through it. So I don't know if that was the problem. I probably just ruined a perfectly good catless down pipe, which are very expensive, but I guess we'll test it out and see. I did want to interrupt the exhaust work and troubleshooting just to show you what I've just pulled out of the cylinder. So this is what the spark plugs look like. They've been in there for a while. Looks like it's not wet, but just super caked. Smells like gasoline. So I did the other side, which for this side you take out the battery and these two screws in the reservoir and take it out. Unplug these two plugs right there, and then the hoses that go up into the piping for the water, which I did not plug the right ones back in. Looks like I missed one. I'll have to troubleshoot that. But anyways, once you get that out, you have access to this side of the block. It's a little tighter against the frame rail. You don't have to pull the engine up. It's just really tight and kind of a bitch. But this side is much easier. So I figured I would get these in there and make sure that I didn't have like a stripped spark plug before I decided to cut through any more exhaust parts. And we'll just keep on troubleshooting. So I'm going to finish getting these in, and maybe I'll set you up on a tripod for the last one. All right, well, we found out what the problem was. This cylinder wasn't even in, and when I tried to thread it in, it just kept turning and turning and turning and turning. So looks like we get to rethread, and looks like we need a new boot, so a new coil for that cylinder. So new coil pack, because this thing's pretty well fucked, and I need to get that spark plug out of there and figure out how to recap it. Which a friend of mine had the same situation, and apparently it's not terrible to do. Freaking hope not. I'm just saying, if it was going to happen, I'm glad that it happened on that one. I got to figure out what keeps cutting open my hand, though. I think it's this stupid thing that's going to come off there anyways. All right. Well, we found the problem. And it's not the engine, or the turbo, or the $400 exhaust downpipe that I ruined. Son of a bitch, I'm still kicking myself in the ass for that. Anyways, That's awesome. We found the issue. All right, I got to a certain point on the first attempt with this and decided I should probably turn on the camera so you guys can see what it is I'm doing. So this is an OEM spark plug tap kit. It's basically a helicoil for a spark plug hole. OEM tool spark plug repair system. It comes with a couple different sleeves that go over top of the spark plug. So the spark plug screws perfectly down inside that sleeve. That's the longer one. That's the one we're going to be using. And then the threads on the outside of this, I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's got threads on the outside, are as big as this tap that I'm using. And you use the grease to fill the flutes in this tap so that they'll catch the metal shavings. And you usually go about 2 or 3 turns into where you can feel it biting inside there and shaving out the basically boring out the cylinder, the hole where the spark plug goes in there, so that you can tap it with one of those thread sleeves. The grease catches all the shavings as they fall off, well, for the most part, and then you're supposed to take it out and clean the flutes and then repack them and start over and do that until it goes all the way through into the cylinder, not into the piston. You want to make sure the piston's far enough away. But basically it goes about that far into the piston chamber, and then you back it out and run it back in and back it out and run it back in until the threads are clean. And then you put the threads over the spark plug with some RTV sealant and then screw the spark plug down in there. But that was the first good bite on the bigger section where it tapers up. So I decided I would take it out, clean the flutes, repack them, and go again. And in the meantime, I was going to turn on the camera, which I did. So you guys are now here with us watching if I screw myself out of a cylinder head or if I actually make this repair work. This is the first time I've done it. And the way I look at it is, if I don't do it, I'm replacing the cylinder head. So I might as well try it. So you just take your multi-duty complex, extreme pressure grease, whatever you got, bearing grease, fill the little cutouts out, just like that. And it also keeps the bit nice and lubricated. And then you just put it back in there, screw it in to where you got it last time. Get it to where you feel it biting again. Put some pressure on it. And I'm only doing like 1 or 2 clicks on this socket at a time, just to make sure it's only going like that far. Nice, you can see how far we've made it so far. About halfway through the threads. And we're making progress. Not sure if you can see that, but it all off. Only real design flaw is the socket style instead of lock-in. I know they make some that lock right into your 3/8 drive. This one cuts nice. It's just, it's a 19-inch or 3/4 inch or whatever, 19 with a little bit of electrical tape. You get creative and it holds the thing in there so it doesn't keep falling out. Kind of looks like it is done cutting. That's fresh grease and there's hardly any metal shavings in there. A little bit in the bottom. I think that was just residual. And you can see the threads are clean all the way up. So I think we've got it re-threaded. Now we just need to put the insert in. If you can see on the top of that, it's serrated. There is a little impact tool once you get this down in, so you put it on the spark plug like that. I'll put a little anti-seize or grease on the spark plug. This is an old plug, so. And then you put RTV sealant on the outside threads and then thread this in and let it set up and back the spark plug out. So thread that in as far as it'll go and then back the spark plug out. And then you take the impact tool and slide it down in there. And it sets just inside that and pushes those little spikes out on the side. You hit it and it mushrooms the end of it and sets it inside the aluminum cylinder so it doesn't come out the next time you replace your spark plugs. Sweet gloves too, huh? Thumbs up. All right, after you're done cutting, take your brake parts cleaner and just spray the piss out of that cylinder. All right, guys, it is the next day and I stopped by Harbor Freight on the way home from work and picked up a borescope for 80 bucks. I was able to take the borescope here and it comes with that little camera on the end with the LED light, and I was able to stick it in there and try to avoid all the grease that's in there still, but see that the threads went all the way in. It even showed me where the end of this just barely kissed the top of the piston. So it went in there far enough. The threads are clean. So now that I'm confident about that, I'm going to throw that terminal on and we're going to clean out that cylinder by starting the car. So here goes nothing. So let's hook up that terminal. Woo. Huh. Not really much came out. Okay, so I want to try to get a visual for you guys using this thing. Hopefully you'll be able to see. But it's just this little thing with the LED on the end of it and a camera inside it, and you just snake it in there. It's pretty freaking sweet. Try to get it as straight as possible. So you can see the walls, they're all brown. You know, for 80 bucks, this thing's pretty quality. Honestly, the color screen, I left the little sticker on it because I might take it back, but I might keep it. I don't know. Anyways, got a little bit of grease still. I tried to clean most of the grease out, but there's still a little grease in there, so I'll get a rag in there on that. And then you can see here the new aluminum threads that are reflecting and how well they're cut. I'm not sure if you can see that camera to camera. Put a little anti-seize on there. All the way on there. Work it back and forth a couple times. Take your RTV sealant. Actually hit this with some brake parts cleaner. RTV. Careful not to get it on the threads with the spark plug. Good, just like that. Just put it back in, snug it up, and let it set. All right, so we got it in, and we're just gonna let it set up. I got some projects, honey-do list to do in the meantime. So we'll go ahead and pull the trailer out and get it ready and get ready for this little trip. And then I'll come back to it. To that little, it's from the piston chamber. Anyways, check back in a minute.